The food drive from the Ghanaian Community Presbyterian Church, and she wants to give her some few comments and appreciate the church. Hello, madam.
Hello.
What's your name?
My name is Gail.
What do you think about this drive?
Oh, it's wonderful. Thank you so much. It helps the community. It's just a wonderful thing, especially in the time that we are in now. It is a big help and we're so grateful, so blessed. So thank you so much for everything y'all do.
Thank you too for coming.
Thank you.
Hello, you're still watching HCN, Heroes Cable Network, and we're all about promoting our culture, tradition, education, and development. Community Presbyterian Church located in Irving, Texas.
probably are scared of because you don't want to go out. Today is a special dedication for the coronavirus awareness program, and it is brought to you by the Ghana Community Presbyterian Church. They took absolute control of the sponsorship in all the dealings that we had to put together in order to bring you this session. They brought us the rightful persons and guests in our studio here to discuss the issues with us and to inform you and bring you up to speed with what coronavirus really is doing to our community. Before we delve into an introduction of who we have in-house as by way of guest, we'd like you to take a quick look at a wonderful video shown to you by our sponsors. Let's take a watch and get right back to the studio for us.
And we're going to be talking to our lovely elders here who are part of the church. What's your name, sir?
I'm Lawrence Dagadu.
What about you?
Grace Kakrada.
Teacher Bugafo.
Grace Bedu.
Nice. So why did the church deem it to organize a food drive at this time and not? I know some other people are giving away gas cards and other stuff. So why did you think it wise to give out food?
As Pastor has said, the leadership got together and we thought, we got to do something we have to give something back to the community. And we know there are other Ghanaian communities that have been, putting the same type of efforts out there. But we thought for our church, we want to do something special for not only our church members, but also their families and friends. And so something to help people, because it's been almost 2-3 months now. And some folks are actually out of work and they are barely managing to survive. So we thought this is a good time to pull something like this together to help out the community.
Okay, so Mrs. Kakrada, what would you say as a woman? What would you say of the church giving out food and diapers to families?
Well, from a woman's perspective, I would say without food in the house, it's not good. You can't do anything. You have kids, you have a husband, you need to feed them. So the church giving out food to families, it was an excellent idea. And I do applaud the leaders of the Ghanaian Community Presbyterian Church for bringing up this idea, not just for the members, but also the community at large. Now, we worship at Ghanaian Community Presbyterian Church in Irving, Texas. Please come by. We have an amazing pastor. When you come, your spirit will be filled with the right food that you need. So come and visit and join us Sundays at 2:30 p.m. And also we thank HCN so much for coming around to cover this food drive. Thank you.
From China, all of these things. Oh, there was this pandemic going on in China. It is killing this, it is killing that. People are unable to go to work, people are unable to do this. We thought it was going to be contained only in China. Lo and behold, 2 months down the line, sometime in March, we started experiencing whatever Chinese people were experiencing in Wuhan here in America. It started somewhere in New York, it was in California, it came to Texas, and now it is all over the place. Worldwide, almost every country now has incidents or cases of coronavirus. This virus brought nothing but suffering. You're unable to go to work, you're unable to do your normal stuff like you would do ideally somewhere last year, and now it is all over the place. There are still rules and regulations that are brought to us by the CDC and even in states, hospitals and clinics. They're trying to as much as possible contain the situation and prevent it from escalating. We've gone as far as getting to the peak, and then now it looks as if we're even still bouncing back to the peak again. Now, the main concern is, have we under any circumstance had this issue with us, even amongst us in our community? Has anyone in the community contracted it? Can we learn lessons from it? And to those of us who haven't, how do we safeguard ourselves? How do we protect ourselves from having to be victims of this pandemic? On this session today, which is very much sponsored by the Ghanaian Community Presbyterian Church, we have been able to bring to the studio, and also we'll be joined via Zoom online by technocrats, let's say experts, and then also people in our community or from our community who have gone through the mill of contracting the virus, living with it, going through the phase of medication, and apparently having to succeed and overcome the whole condition. And today in our studio, we are going to share with you, inform you, and create the awareness that you so require. In the event you haven't taken it serious, in the event you think it is not real, we want to make you understand that this pandemic is as real as anything. So today, to join us in the studio to have that discussion is going to be our own Madam Asafo Ejay, who is a specialist and nursing practitioner, family nursing practitioner, and then also our own brother, Joseph Ejariabua, who I would tell you a little bit about him, had contracted the COVID-19 and have been able to go through the mill or the process of getting himself free from the whole pandemic or from the whole virus, if I must put it that way. We will get to talk to him a bit later so that he can delve a bit more into the whole picture. And then we'll also be joined online by a medical doctor and then another colleague of ours in the community, Auntie Irene, who also at the moment is having to live through the situation and then is going through medication to hopefully come out of it successfully. So let's come back to the studio before our Zoom callers would join later. Let's come to the studio and first of all ask Mr. Ajari, until when did you really realize that you had contracted COVID-19?
I believe it started on July 2nd. That was Thursday. It started on a Wednesday night with severe fever. Mm-hmm. And the weekend before, I had been to a small gathering at a friend's house. And on Wednesdays when I started feeling feverish and there was some serious body aches.
So this was 3 clear days after you had,
yes, so I think I belonged to the group who had a shorter incubation period, mm-hmm. which, so mine manifested itself within 3 days actually. Mm. And so Wednesday night I started feeling very feverish, mm-hmm. with body aches all over.
And you hadn't felt this way prior to
No, prior to this, I don't remember the last time I felt that way. Maybe way back in Ghana when I used to get a lot of malaria.
Malaria, yeah.
And so I didn't think anything of it. It didn't actually hit. Mm. And so I just took some Tylenol and went to bed. Woke up the next morning. I felt okay. Mm-hmm. So I dressed up and went to work. Mm-hmm. But started feeling that same feverish and body aches around 11 a.m. at work. Mm-hmm. And so that was when I started feeling, could this be it? And so I immediately told my manager that I'm not feeling well and I want to go home. And so go right ahead. And mm-hmm. so I left work, went home, took another Tylenol, and then went to sleep. But in the evening, it came back. Mm-hmm. So I took the Tylenol again and went to sleep, hoping that Friday, which was the 3rd, mm-hmm. things would be better. But the fevers kept coming back.
Yeah. So was the experience? So normally, if you are sick and you go to the hospital, the doctor will say on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rank the pain level? Was it a level that was more severe than what you were used to back in Ghana when you had malaria?
I mean, it's a severe form. I look at it as a severe form of malaria. Mm. The pain was very, very
Excruciating.
excruciating. And on a scale of 1 to 10, I would definitely put it at 11.
Ooh.
And so it was bad. I mean, I couldn't even turn my eyeball without feeling my skull. The pain was in my skull for the most part. I felt it in my bones as well. So it was all over. So the next morning, I started seeking medical attention. So I called a doctor friend of mine, and she immediately said, "Go and get tested. I think you got it." And she was right. So the Friday, the fevers came back again, and then because it was July 3rd, I drove around. I went to an urgent care. They sent me back home, but I have to get a doctor's recommendation before they can do the test, and I didn't have one at the time. And so they sent me back home and then get a doctor's recommendation before I can do the test.
I'll hold you right up there when it comes to the test. So let me get back to Madam Joanna. Listening to him, his experience came about 3 clear days after the contact with the potential person who, gave him the virus. Now we know that CDC standards and globally, the whole incubation period is between the very first day of contact till about 14 days.
Right.
What do you think really was his case that he happened to have it right there and then, that he started having those experiences? And as far as that is concerned, his experience were feverishness, right? I know others would be body aches and others would be short of breath and all those kind of stuff, but these are the normal ones that we are used to. How about those who are having different symptoms but are not aware? What kind of symptoms are we supposed to look at? And on which period of the first contact are we supposed to take this very serious?
So immediately you feel you've been exposed, you need to start taking precautions. So if you realize you've been at an event where somebody has been, that you find out that person had the virus, there's somebody over there that had a virus, right away that's an exposure. So which means that you may or may not have had it. Now incubation, as we know, is anywhere from 2 days to 14 days is when you may manifest. So it's important that you go get tested. Now, some of the symptoms that you may look out for will be, of course, high fever. You could also look out for headaches. Some people even have diarrhea as their symptoms. Some people have reported nausea. Other people have had cough. And of course, the loss of taste, the loss of smell. So the symptoms vary across. And of course, you find those that are asymptomatic completely. So right away when you think you've been exposed is the right time to get tested.
That's interesting to know, because for the most part, you don't have people give you that firm disclosure of whether maybe they are seeing only one symptom. And so they think, well, this is a symptom that I'm used to, and so I'm not really in the position to want to go and get tested. But in his case, you had more than one symptom, right? You had the fever, you had the headache, you had the...
I had the fever, the headaches, the body aches, and then on the 3rd day, I lost my sense of taste and smell completely.
Oh, wow.
And that is quite horrible. I mean, until you experience it, it's difficult to actually describe how it feels like. But it's real.
It's real. Okay, thank you very much for shedding that light on how you contracted it. I think that joining us on Zoom right now, I see Dr. Peter Sani right there with us. And then also Madam Irene Osei also with us. Thank you very much for joining us, and you're welcome. We hope that we can make do with this internet connectivity thing, so we don't have to crash everything out. So before, maybe you were already listening to us in the studio, what a discussion. So at the moment, what we are looking at is how he contracted it. And I do know that Madam Irene is one of our key personnels who give us a practical example or a practical experience of how she's also going through the whole process. So, Madam Irene, if you can hear me, can you give us a little bit of an idea as to how you contracted coronavirus? Until when did you realize you had the virus?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure.
Yes. How do I start this? Do I speak Tree or do I speak English?
Oh yeah, you're welcome to speak Chi. No. Yeah, you're welcome to speak. We want to be able to reach as many audience as possible, especially the Ghanaian community. So please, you're welcome to speak any and every language. Hopefully, I can understand that one. But she's okay with me, so let's go ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that many Kajari was in the same circle of the same place.
Mm-hmm.
But I did not feel nothing.
Oh.
But when he started, when he gets sick, I decided to go test it.
Uh-huh.
Or no crack at you because me person me
A good enough excuse.
Yeah. But the same day I tested and 2 days later, my results never positive.
Mm-hmm.
Man, me feel not a fever, nothing.
Mm.
I'm moving around, going around my business. And I have 3 younger kids in the house, so I decided to isolate myself.
Yes, which is a very good thing to do in the very first place. When who said when you what contracted the first thing you do is say over isolate you and send a bear won't enco far inside for baby.
Aye. And to me, yes, and my friend Majuma Muslim, yeah, you post office, yeah, my through the pandemic, no, to me back. I exposed, and I'm still okay. And my results by in 2 days, not me a positive. But 1 day later, my husband and I started to say all around the fever.
Oh.
And your mom also tested. Now he came to start also about positive.
Oh.
And but on there or young
oh.
And he's still recovering.
Okay. Into never say you better go into the symptoms in your show ye. No different from one because according to what they know we are asymptomatic and I answer antigen. Into the one way show BBR and control bebre fear most of them are not showing any signs, but potentially might have come into contact with someone with the virus, but wouldn't think it's even okay for them to go. And I'm so happy say would hear Mr. Jare advice say Konako test So now I want to go to Dr. Sani. Dr. Sani, I would like to bring you in. Sani Thomas. I'd like to bring you in to shed more light on asymptomatic people who, for one reason or the other, do not see the need to want to go and get tested. Meanwhile, you're walking around with the virus. Until when can you really say this must be a must for asymptomatic patients?
I think most people have to remember that the unfortunate part about this virus is that this particular virus has an effect on people that is so unusual. You will have the typical person who may be asymptomatic or may have mild to moderate symptoms, all the way to the person who may unfortunately suffer from acute respiratory distress syndrome and pass. So knowing that, it's very important if you know that you have the virus, or if you assume or could be possibly having the virus, it is important that you listen. It is important that you quarantine yourself. It's important that you follow the CDC guidelines, masking up, wearing gloves, for social distancing is very important, because if I am an asymptomatic carrier and I feel like, oh, it's not hurting me, I don't have to worry, it does not mean that I cannot pass on to someone else.
I might have to ask you, Doctor, if you could, I don't know if it's the internet connectivity or whatsoever, but there was a little bit of a hitch in the flow of your communication. So if you can reposition yourself a little bit, hopefully we can get to hear a much clearer sound. Yeah, so once I let you can just go ahead and then say what you wanted to say. Complete your statement, sir.
I don't know how much you've heard, but just to reiterate, very important. Anyone who may possibly be at risk or assuming that it may be positive for the test, it is important that you get tested, because you need to know if you are a asymptomatic carrier or someone who can possibly transmit the virus to another person. Mm-hmm. That's why, in essence, it's important that you get tested. Testing is the key to everything.
Okay, and I want to ask a quick question before we go on to the next question. He mentioned that he had to get a doctor's, you had to get what, a doctor's notes? Recommendation before he get tested. Is that the case? Is that the standard? I thought anybody else can walk into any testing facility and get tested.
Of course. Now, that's, of course, early on in the that was the recommendation, because there was so far and few tests available. Mm-hmm. But hopefully, as this progresses and more testing becomes available, that will not be required. Again, testing is important. So, unfortunately, yes, it was, you had to get some type of recommendation in order to get tested.
Okay, all right. So let me get back to Auntie Irene. Auntie Irene, can you give us an idea of what sort of symptoms your husband manifested when he contracted the virus?
Okay. On one reason, positive. Mm-hmm. By the way, 103 for 3 days. Of a Thailand on every 4 hours, and approximately 99.8. By the time the next 4 hours, not a start question.
It's not a tipai ni a friend.
No, why are you just in a joint scenario in the shop?
Okay.
Why are person down one, person baby?
On person baby, no, Otumi Jina and
I mean, he can be bothered.
Otumi Nanti Koba up and down.
No.
No, to me, yes, you're crying. So, a funny in temper.
Yeah, a funny in temper.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, you know, we're trying to shed more light on how our brother and our sister did contract the virus and the different stages of symptoms that manifested in themselves during the initial phase of the whole contraction. And they're trying to make us understand that, and I gather from this whole conversation so far that your manifestation of the whole symptoms might be different from someone else's, but as doctor did say, the most important thing really is if you see anything different from what the normal conditions of yourself is, you ought to get tested. And as it is, unlike the case where Mr. Jare had to go through, you know, a doctor's recommendation before getting tested, now we have a lot of testing locations and testing kits available. You can walk into any location that is anywhere close to your area and get tested without having to go through all those, you know, rudimentary stages that he went through. So stay tuned. We're going to be right back, and once we get back, we're going to go through the different layers of medication and self-medication and self-management that they had to go through to get to where they are. And then doctor and nurse will give us some more highlights. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
What a fellowship, what a joy divine, leaning on the everlasting arms. What a blessedness, what a peace is mine, leaning on the everlasting
As you know, ACN is always concerned about whatever is going on in our community. We promote everything that goes on in our community, and that is a part of our core values. And so we are here to see what's going on, to promote whatever this church is doing, and we deem them our heroes of the week.
Leaning on the everlasting arms. What have I to dread? What have I to fear? Leaning.
We're also going to be talking to the leaders of the church, especially to the pastor, Reverend Martin Osai, who is the shepherd of the Ghanaian Community Presbyterian Church here, and he's going to be explaining and elaborating more on this food drive. Okay, so we are here and there's a lineup of food items here already packaged for I think the people who signed up for the food drive. They got the names on each boxes for every family that signed up for this food drive. We all know during this pandemic, a lot of families are going through hardships, and so that the church, Ghanaian Presby Church in Irving, has thought it wise to help these families who are going through hardship.
What a fellowship, what a joy.
We are here with another beneficiary. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. What's your name?
My name is Frank, and this is my friend Glody.
Frank, what do you think about this food drive?
I think it's very beneficial, especially for what's going on right now, for the church to be a spoken voice in this time. So I think it's a very, very good thing that they're doing. So I appreciate it, guys.
All right. Thank you, Frank. And I know you're going to be enjoying your Ghanaian food. We got another beneficiary here. Hello, sir.
Hello.
What would you say about this food drive?
I mean, it's a very, very, very good, move here at this time, because, I was invited here by a friend. We came together, and then she told me about it. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's very thoughtful of you guys. I mean, the Presbyterian Church to have done something like this, yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Your love and everything.
Thank you so much. And we are also ACN. You can look us up on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And be sure to like us.
Oh, definitely.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, too.
You are still watching HCN, Heroes Cables Network, and we are still here at the Ghanaian Community Presbyterian Church located in Irving, Texas. We have here the elders and some members, and as well as the pastor of the church, Reverend Martin Osai. Hello, Reverend.
Hello, Miss Dale. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing great.
How relevant is it for the church to organize such like a food drive for the community?
You know, this is the core of what the church is supposed to be, to care for the community. And in scriptures, we are told to care for those who are in need. And oftentimes we think, church is, well, let people come and give the offering. No, it is more of us giving back to the community, spiritually, socially, emotionally, and every area. And especially on such a time as this, when people are going through real trying times based on COVID-19, it is a time for the church to respond, to give back to the community, to be there for the community. And that is the reason why we purpose to do this drive, just to make sure that those who need the help can get the help.
Who are the beneficiaries for this food drive? Is it only limited to church members?
Well, actually, our purpose was to reach out to our church members and say, hey, we are going to be doing this drive. Certainly, if you need it, come along. But if you don't, look for a family in your community that needs it. So the majority of the people who are coming through today are really people who have been referred by church members, which in a sense is a way that the church members can also reach out and connect with their friends and family. And through that, really, through that kind of engagement, it is easy for them to reach out to them another time and say, hey, come check out what is going on at this church. If we had reached out to them, then it's more likely that they will want to come and see what we are doing here. So much as it is a way to reach out and give, it's also an evangelistic approach to really reach out the world around us.
Nice. So what are some of the food items here?
Given that our community is predominantly Ghanaian, we wanted to give them a taste of some of the things that maybe they don't often get, such as black-eyed pea, which, most Ghanaians who used to make red or yoke.
Wache
and all of that. We also have Ghana yams, We have sardines. We have, geisha. We have milk, evaporated milk. We have 25-pound bag rice. We have vegetable oil in there. And for those families who have children, we made sure that we provided diapers based on the sizes as we communicated with them, and wipes also.
Wow. That's a whole lot of stuff here for members, church members, and for families who are really in need during this pandemic.
And for us as a church, really, because we are a community church, this is the heart of what we do. Our focus is to reach out the community around us. Oftentimes we think the church is the building, but the church is the people. And we talk about, churches are closed because of the health emergency. When you think about it, it really doesn't make sense. The church is not closed. The building may be closed, but the church is not closed because the church is the people. And church is still going on as we reach out to one another.
Lovely. So members, you heard Reverend Martin Osai. This church, Ghanaian Community Presbyterian Church, is living up to its name. It is a community-based church, and they are doing everything they can to help families who are in need during this COVID-19 pandemic.
And
that was gone for I lost the smell and the taste for 8 days before I got it back.
And all through that period, you're still going on with the different medications that were prescribed to you?
Yeah, so as I said, the azithromycin was for the first 5 days. 2 days after that, the fevers came back. And I had started doing the dry cough. I could not take a deep breath without coughing. The slightest deep breath.
Sort of energy in order to bring out the
yeah, so you take in a deep breath and then it forces you to cough, which wasn't a good sign, I was told. And so when the fevers came back, I had to go to Care Now and then have my lungs checked. and then listened to, so they took x-rays, the doctor listened to my lungs, and then they did another prescription, which is the doxycycline. Yeah.
So for the most part, all these medication and the routines were done at home. You did not.
Yeah,
have
for
to
the
be in
most.
hospital.
No, thank God I didn't have to go to be admitted, because I was constantly checking my oxygen, and my oxygen, I think the lowest it went was like 93. It hovered around 93 and 95 for some time. And then it went back to 97, 96, 98.
Okay, let's get back to Auntie Irene. Auntie Irene, into what family? She said, "No, according to say, I want to discussion. Into which the mama wukun. They are potting and draw potting and a more fire. I'm a maybe do baby amujina me juice is here."
Time who say Thailand on there concussion in Yano still have fever no for 3 days. Now I was some day but I make a decision to make financial because in the car.
I don't know person in the emergency.
My name is Sammy, the no car, I am for the money do.
And the church must say, they're empowering about more take his decision.
Let me say, I check TV to the airport into a beer show. So, because when you saw call me, just a man who cry, I am a man. Okay. And you know, Mr. Gary should be all your piano. Me no link can be who men cast out all the time.
It's no more information. If I also we any concoction, be a name be also the gum anymore. I mean, I can't go better a concoction not we because when himself will be air shame with fear. I can run it the camp we are. Into Abrubeno, who no an answer saying, I will bet you. Now they. When you name it, now they are coming. And in Fifi, who say now, I say, so who's any, I say, who's any Fifi, who say now. I'm a doctor. The only degree one go school that cry a doctor or child the soil. In China, listen at the adoption. It's the one that we shall we yeah, the one that we shall we yeah, teach you how we yeah, what do you know? A boy, a pa. Oh, dear, why any there? Second medication, now I'm the man, Mr. Janio. Or finally 2 days, no still no, I told them. I don't decide to know. I'm missing me person on prescribe mommy. And he did. And to me, kwaje, our CVS, and I started the man. Now, me starting to me who's not fail or lift you up a little bit. And I start Ghana for because I was to share poo and you were poor on to me, sorry, but many many be still was on poo. And I'm in a shadow because me to me back outside because of Uncolani too. I it's not saying Colana no more so and now more yes and a bear more enconya Yareni Binyasa. I Colani was true. And I ain't your bedroom of combat. Me ma on room pie cry. Na me so me pia. Me making sure say me share gloves. Me mask na nkolando for ma me be spray. And ho nyina make sure say fridge no ma paper bibia and stand on ma bo. Be fa de o fa no ma for so. Mba so be. O ba form 3 times a day. Because almost under 14, so now me be say me making sure that I for man na sure mo dey. So I'm going to show you I'm going back here now or back through the mirror. Okay. Yo, into no teacher no and that Makumako saying and now we yes a draw and funny a pony concoctions na you know and that Makumako saying and now so we yes as a bear. And as a we yeah who say and for so be abaso. I didn't know part of me to make a start concussion.
because zinc yɛfa vitamin E yɛfa vitamin C yɛfa 6,000 a day. Just we were doing all that. Plus, yes, I got to bring you to me really anchor. But the moment say within isolation, it's not wash your hands and stand your money in an na ye. But a drone on me is that a drone of one.
The drone of
So
one.
because still I'm a plan on anything. But maybe me move around the BBR.
Yo, Mati, that's it. But I'll just go straight to. I don't know if I need to translate this, but apparently what she said was that she did take the same routine medication as Mr. Ajare did, but obviously she cannot pinpoint to a fact as to whether the local medications really did anything different from the other on-the-shelf medication. But he did say emphatically that she thinks that the on-the-shelf medical, not the traditional medication, did make a lot more difference, especially the doxycycline. She thinks that made a huge difference. So that would make me want to ask Dr. Sunny Thomas. Doctor, so we have 2 cases here. And apparently, for all of them, none of them did any hospital-based or was hospitalized or anything like that. For all of them, they did in-house treatment and self-management. What is your take on this kind of strategy towards curbing this whole thing?
Well, actually, currently, depending on the stage and the severity of COVID-19, that will determine your treatment. So if you have mild to moderate symptoms, you are not hypoxic, meaning your oxygen level is above 95%, it is recommended that you stay at home and you do supportive care, i.e. Tylenol, medications that you basically treat your symptoms. If you can't use Tylenol, it is okay to use ibuprofen, Advil, things like that. Albuterol if you have asthma. If you are a little bit more progressive with regard to your symptoms, and you have to be hospitalized, then the different medications that we administer you.
So will we put this kind of category of people under those who have some sort of initial or background, cases, underlying cases like, those with tuberculosis or diarrhea or diabetes or those other stuff that we know once something else like that kicks in, then you are already on a different level of your departure?
Well, I'm not sure I understand your question. If you're asking if a person has a comorbidity like diabetes or chronic lung disease or chronic kidney disease, then yes, they're at higher risk for having more severe symptoms. And then that case being at the latter stage of the disease. But if you're asking if your symptoms are mild, you have to determine whether or not you're hospitalized. No. Again, I'm a bit perplexed as to why the gentleman was given doxycycline and azithromycin, because according to our studies that the protocol currently, antibiotics are not recommended for viral infections, which COVID-19 is. So that's a bit concerning to me. I don't know if the doctor explained why they were giving you azithromycin.
Yeah, maybe he might shed a bit more light on that. But even before he does, I think the same prescription was what eventually Auntie Irene had to take for her to make that conclusion that she thinks that even worked. But that also brings me to 3 key medications that has been going on, in the system that supposedly are the key. But for the most part, no one wants to say it is this or that. Number 1, hydroxychloroquine, hydroxychloroquine, zinc, and Zithromax. Now, can you, by your experience, tell us today for a fact that these are but the 3 key medications that ought to be given to COVID-19 patients, or you think they are just part of it? Can they be left out, and are they really necessary?
I'll have to be honest with you. I am not part of that particular momentum that segment of population of doctors who believe that is an adequate treatment. I am more of the belief that antivirals, in particular remdesivir, low-dose dexamethasone, and possibly other medications such as convalescent plasma will help. Early on in the pandemic, there was the that those 3 particular drugs that you mentioned would be very helpful and a possible cure for COVID-19. But out of the recent studies that have been done, there has been no beneficial effect for those 3 medications. So the current thinking is no, those medications will not help. Now, that I have to also, on the flip side of that, say that some practitioners, some medical doctors are still giving it because they swear by it. If anyone's been watching the news recently, there's been a doctor here in particular in Houston who swears by that medication and states that she's treated over 300, 400 patients.
Yeah, I followed that. I followed that discourse as well.
Yes, and I've seen that, but I can't particularly tell you that those didn't work. Out of those 300 or 400 patients, she may have been treated. That does not mean hydroxychloroquine may have been the reason as to why they have progressed to normal health. So, again, when it comes to medicine, we have to go by facts. We have to go by studies, clinical trials. That is the only way we can prove that a particular medication will work. You can't go by hearsay.
Okay. So by all standards, can you, and if for the benefit of our viewers back at home, who are watching us live right now, can you go through the medication that you made mention right now again, just so we can be very certain on what the medical standards are and what else is in the atmosphere regarding what should be the best. So if you can repeat those for us, that'll be good.
So it really depends on the stage and the severity of symptoms. So again, I'll repeat it. For those patients who have mild symptoms who can be treated at home, the recommended therapy is supportive care. That means medications that you can take over the counter, such as Tylenol. You can use antihistamines for runny nose. Anything to treat your symptoms. You can use ibuprofen if needed, although Tylenol is recommended. You can use your vitamin C. You can use zinc. You can use those medications. Anything that we consider supportive care. Drinking plenty of fluid. We call that oral rehydration therapy. Now, if your symptoms are much more severe, you have to be hospitalized. That is when usually we consider using antivirals, as remdesivir. That is the current antiviral medication that has been proven to help. Also, another medication that has been proven, or so far with regards to early trials, is low-dose dexamethasone.
Low dose of what again, sir?
Dexamethasone.
Dexamethasone, Dexamethasone. That medication is typically a very mild steroid that has been shown to be a bit helpful also. Other than that, those are the medications that are used. COVID is very difficult. Now, when you get to more severe stages, those 2 medications that I just mentioned are used, but also convalescent plasma is used. And again, that has been proven to help shorten or lessen the severity of the disease, although nothing is 100%. Again, we have to remember this new virus. We are currently investigating and studying this virus. So everyone must remember there is no fix. There's no cure. So this is ongoing and new. Many studies must be done in order to find out more about this disease.
Okay. Good. Thank you for that information. I would like to ask you, and I know it's going to be a bit of a shock to you, but I'm aware that unfortunately your brother passed away, and
Yes.
we at ACN would like to send our condolences to you. You know, may God strengthen you and your family through this difficult times. I'm unable to really go through what he did not do right or what he did wrong to get to the point where he was. But could you give us a little brief summary of what it is that happened and how this whole transition took place? And then we can just finalize this whole discussion.
Without delving into too much of the specifics, unfortunately, we're not particularly sure where he contracted the disease from. It possibly may have gotten it from work, or maybe something where he got it from someone there who was infected. But my understanding is he was briefly hospitalized at the VA medical center in Dallas and was discharged. And I understand he was doing very well actually when he was discharged, but he was given strict instructions to quarantine himself, and which he did. But somehow, some way, his symptoms got progressively worse. Yeah. And unfortunately, he passed away. It's very tragic.
Yeah, that's really tragic. Did you by any chance have any conversation with him regarding what sort of medication was given to take while at home after being discharged?
Again, yes, he was given, once he was at home, he was taking Tylenol around the clock and oral rehydration therapy. So he would drink plenty of fluids, take Tylenol around the clock. I'm not particularly sure if he was given anything else besides those two recommendations, but from my knowledge, that's what he was doing. Okay, good. Thanks for shedding a little bit more light on that one. Mr. Jari, can you tell Dr. Sani Thomas why you were given doxycycline?
Yeah, so that was before I did a test, because it wasn't confirmed, and if I had, it was just suspicious. So I was given that for 5 days, and as I said, after the 5th day, 2 days after that, my fevers came back, and so that's when I was given the doxycycline. Yeah, and I mean, in fact, when I went to the Care Now, the doctor was going to give me the azithromycin again, and I did mention that I've taken that in the last, and it did not work. So that's when he changed it to the doxycycline.
So he didn't give you any practical medical reasons as to why that should be the option?
Well, I did not ask, honestly, because
you just wanted something that would work.
Yeah,
right?
something that will take care of my fevers, and when I started taking that, it worked.
Do you by any chance have this clinical understanding from this perspective, sir? Even though we didn't have any clarity as to why that was prescribed. Hello, Mr. Thompson? Dr. Thompson?
No, Dr. Tom.
Sani Thomas.
Sani Thomas.
Yes, I'm sorry. Could you repeat that, please?
Yeah. Did you understand what he said, even though we didn't get any clinical justification as to why that was recommended?
It sounds like he did not have an official diagnosis of an atypical or viral pneumonia. It sounds like they thought it was bacterial in the beginning, so he was giving the medication empirically. But once you would have received the diagnosis or of being positive for the COVID-19, most antibiotics will not work. In fact, all antibiotics will not work in any viral infection.
Okay, all right. I would like to ask Auntie Irene. For the most part, we know, sir, when people contract such, viral COVID-19, all those things. In fact, Ghana Crown, Obinya and Chuma, Nadam Fufo, Edesireno, or Mutis, Muyan and Yamaniama Biatisa. I hear we face any sort of stigmatization and now Bibisana.
Oh, and the Ghana for the man on me, but I'm Badamim. Obo akwa wati a wontimi fura wonim sa wo fura o begusa nsa what in the but eno na eno nyame enha Mr.
Which Ghana for na for when you are this same community, so bet me stigmatized obviously because someone him say what contracted COVID-19.
Oh Oh, there be the American so be a minister, baby, I'm a poor, and yeah, it's suspect is the honey free. You will be a minimum, be a friend.
Oh, why are
The
they?
tested positive, no, me catch it will be an army, what I'm on the sort of. That all share for symptoms and not the visa. Me my test positive, but me all right. Me need fever, me need fever, but me need be also the end of it. I'm a couple of so people, you know, as what test positive, but still doing normal testing, normal test positive so.
Okay. Into no stigmatization in the area a border, even though we face it, but in area a border.
David.
Okay. How about Mr. Jerry? Did you by any chance face any sort of stigmatization from your friends?
Yes, they don't want to come around, obviously, and I don't want them to come around anyway to save. But I think people were more concerned and worried rather than stigmatizing. They were more sympathetic. And then, yeah.
Okay, good. Auntie John, what would you want to say to our community out there who, for one reason or the other, think that if one contracts the virus, then it's a no-go? What sort of education would you want to give to people?
So I believe having the COVID, it's no reason for a person to be stigmatized. COVID, you can get it from anywhere. Sometimes even the best people who are, maintaining all the necessary precautions, the least slip, you could get it. So the key is maintain, follow the CDC guidelines that we have been taught. And there's no reason. It's not like a sexually transmitted disease, where, this is something that is out there. There are people walking around that are asymptomatic, and you may not, you may not suspect it, and even as being out there to the store, you may touch something, touch your face, and you may get it. So I don't see a reason why somebody should be stigmatized. And I don't see why somebody who has had it should try to hide. I think by the person coming out to let everybody know, just like
what
Auntie Irene and Joe has done, it put a face to the disease and let people realize this thing is real. And to me, that will make more people take necessary precautions. They've shared their journey, and that is what is going to keep the community healthy and safe. So
in wrapping up, thank you very much. In wrapping up this whole show, I'd like to give each of our guests, you've already said your last words. I'd like to give the rest of them the opportunity to, in some few words, what would you want to say to our people, our community, people who are doubting Thomases, who don't think, hey, this is nowhere going to get close to me. I don't think you ever for once thought it would be like that. Neither did Auntie Irene. What would be your final words to the community? I'll take it from Mr. Jerry first.
Yeah, my first thing I would say is at all costs, do the best you can to avoid it. It's for me, it was a very unpleasant experience. What you go through, it varies from each person to one another, but you never know what it feels like until you get it. And don't try to even have a taste of it, because it is not pleasant. Follow the CDC guidelines. Avoid the social gathering as much as you can, and keep everyone around you safe. It's the best we can do for our next neighbor.
All right, thank you very much. Auntie Irene, some potting over to me, come your community form, showing na eja, obi ansu it me, Adam so was a bremu.
Okay, said the joke, social distance, here, papa. Because me, the way I am still protecting me, because I have one 30 minutes. Max and Nisha, I'm a travel because
Wow.
we put there more money.
She said, "Me, I'm not sure for you." Because I'm
And
from.
within 30 minutes, hour and a half, a lot has happened.
Yeah.
Until the air can be asking and wash your hands, protect yourself and protect others. I will say it this too. Because even though my physical pain, my husband goes through the many who one damn that. Or that crowd, that. And yet easy. And will be as wash your hands, wash your hands. Yes, it's in a fear, it's in a fear. I had days that the woman jail, this will pass. And I was saying these guidelines, Mr. will be ourselves on protecting others. So in case you say, oh, come back, yes, so a man hide it. And Kasagana for you, take our mammy, don't worry about that. Let's share information about other people who know beyond sharing who see you.
Yo, Pastor, and it has to be said, Wama, Ina, Ihu, near corner, Ija, among motion, among mutians, so bit me a for a foot to winner on the above. I would like to give the very last opportunity, of course, to Dr. Sonny Thomas to give us his last words for this discussion. What would you have to say to the community out there, sir?
Thank you very much. We have to remember that this is a new virus. We are learning as much as possible. And with the advancement of medical technology, we are trying to come up with many therapies and treatments for this disease. That being said, we as people have the power to save another person's life. All we have to do is use our mask, wash our hands, social distance, follow the CDC guidelines. It's very important. Never before in modern time have we seen a virus that can infect anyone from 1 year all the way to 99 and have such an array of symptomology from mild symptoms as sneezing to death. Nowhere in modern times have we seen this before. So it is very important that we do the right thing, because if I am infected, I should take very important measures not to infect you. So we must take it seriously. We must take it seriously. Okay, please. And if you think that you may have it, please get tested. This is very real. There are so many people that I see that will come into the emergency room who are breathing normally, but their oxygenation level is in the 70s, which is incompatible with life. It's a very real thing. People are dying. So please, people, take this seriously.
Please, people, take it seriously. That is the very final words from Dr. Sonny Thomas. Now, I would like to take this opportunity, in fact, to first of all appreciate our sponsors, the Ghana Community Presbyterian Church, for sponsoring this coronavirus awareness program. HCN obviously for bringing us, the opportunity to distribute this communication and information to everyone, and most importantly to Miss Joan from, I know you are the Cougar president, right? Cougar is well represented. For her also coming through, she's also a nurse, a family nurse practitioner. We thank also Mr. Joe Adari for taking your time to be in the studio with us to share your experience and also to share your advice to the general public. We want to thank obviously Auntie Irene for joining us from home. I know she's doing all her best to take care of herself, her husband, and her family. We say God richly bless you for this journey and for gathering the strength that you gathered to want to keep your husband at home. That I need to buy you one kusia for gathering that strength to do that. God richly bless you. And of course, Dr. Thomas, we are so much appreciative of you for what you've done for us and for our community. We say a big thank you. God richly bless you. And hey, you back at home, let me tell you this. If you for once think that this is a joke, you are making a joke of yourself. Remember, from everything that everybody said over here on HCN, here they are. Avoid it as much as possible. Avoid it. How do you avoid it? Wear your mask like this. Keep it on. Don't take it off, thinking you want to take a little short breath. The very moment you do this to take a little short breath, especially in the midst of people, that's where you get it. Be careful. Be watchful. Now, follow the CDC guidelines. It is everywhere. Instead of having to chat on your phone with your friends and make all that fun, go on the CDC website, download the guidelines, and read it. If somebody else cannot read it because they're visually impaired or whatever it is, get them, inform them of what the standards and the guidelines prescribe for a safety or a safer living. Now, wash your hands regularly, 20 seconds, that's all it takes. With soap under running water. Use hand sanitizers if you don't have access to a running water facility whatsoever. Make sure you have one in your car, in your pocket, in your bag, anywhere you can put a little bit of it, of a alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Keep it right there with you. Make sure you do as it says. Stay home when you are sick. Please stay home when you are sick. Dr. Sunny said it. Everybody here has said it. Auntie Joanna said it. Everyone here knows that is what you have to do. Now, in the case where it is going way overboard, then you know what to do. Go seek for medical attention, and most importantly, get tested. Never feel it is too difficult or it is too overwhelming to get tested. It takes roundabout minutes or probably even seconds. Yeah. Now, with all the technology that we know is available to us right now, it takes seconds and you know your status. And then you start your journey right from there. If you are safe, continue being safe. Follow the guidelines. Keep that way. If you aren't and yours is mild, you know what to do. You can go back to the video and watch every single thing that the doctor has said and what Mr. Ajare and Auntie Irene have said. You will know what to do when you have a mild condition. You can take care of yourself at home. In a severe case, please just go to the hospital and let them take care of you. This will bring us to the very end of today's session on DotStream on ACN. And as always on ACN, we promote education, tradition, culture, and nothing else but, you already know, development. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again with another wonderful, informative and educative show. It's been Nana J with you as always. Catch you next time.